Hey, I'm Marisa Peer. I'm a leading therapist, writer of many books, speaker, and my passion, mission, and job in the world is to change people's lives really easily, sometimes in 5 minutes. I've been doing it for years. I love it. Today on the show, you're going to learn the habits of natural leaders. You're going to learn how to understand your mind and have it become like the best PA you've ever had in your life. You're going to learn how to fall in love with you and be super successful. You're going to learn you're enough, and you're going to love all of it. See you in a minute.
Congratulations! You are tuned into Dov Baron's Leadership and Loyalty Show, the #1 podcast for Fortune 500 executives and those who are dedicated to creating a quantum leap in leadership. Your host, Dov Baron, is the founder of FullMontyLeadership.com. He's an executive mentor to leaders like you, a contributing writer for Entrepreneur Magazine, CEO World, and he's been featured on CNN, Fox, CBS, and many other notable sites. Dov Baron is an international business speaker who was named by Inc. magazine as one of the top 100 leadership speakers to hire. Now, over to Dov Baron.
Welcome, dear friends, fans, and fellow aficionados of leadership excellence. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Dov Baron's Leadership and Loyalty Tips for Executives, part of the Full Monty interview series. I'm your host, Dov Baron, founder of Full Monty Leadership, and I'm here to assist you tapping into the one thing in your business that changes everything. Let me ask you, are you committed to up-leveling your leadership? Well, today we're going to take a look at why even the most successful among us often feel like we're not enough. Why? Well, stay tuned to find out. Remember, you can now chat about this episode or any past episodes of our show by finding us on Facebook. Just go to Facebook and look for Dov Baron's Leadership and Loyalty Podcast. If you're a new listener, new viewer, thank you for joining us. Strap yourself in. We're about to go full Monty. As always, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you tune into podcasts. And we always need your help in staying relevant. So please get yourself over to iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening, and please review and subscribe to the show. You can also catch us on traditional radio stations across the United States every Monday and Thursday, all the way from Las Vegas to Georgia. And you can also catch us in now, we've just been released in Washington, D.C. area, in the Quantico area. You can also catch us on Roku TV, where there's over 100,000 subscribers. And if you're a regular listener, big thank you to you for making us the #1 podcast globally for Fortune 500 listeners, with a potential reach of 2.5 to 4 million listeners for every show. We're honored and grateful to be cited by Inc.com as the #1 podcast to make you a better leader. You can also tune into us through Google Home or Alexa by simply saying, play Dov Baron Podcast. Again, thank you for sharing the show with everybody you know. All right, let's strip it down and dive right in. As a leader, whether you are a CEO, someone in the C-suite, a sales leader, entrepreneur, leader in any capacity, even the most successful among us can feel like they're not enough. Imposter syndrome is estimated to affect 70% of high-level leaders. What if you could massively increase your self-worth so that you sincerely believed in yourself? Not on the surface, but at the depth of who you are, whilst becoming permanently free from that self-sabotage, that nonsense, that noise inside of our heads that can often be there. What if as a result you were able to live happy, motivated, and confident life, not some of the time, but all of the time? Well, let's find out how you can do that. My guest on this episode is Marisa Peer. Marisa has spent nearly 3 decades treating a client list that includes, wait for it, international superstars, CEOs, Olympic athletes, and even, would you believe it, royalty. She has an unparalleled career speaking internationally and working with private clients. She has helped thousands of people to overcome profound personal issues. She's a best-selling author of 5 books. Marisa teaches simple steps that produce dramatic, life-changing results. As a speaker, she seamlessly brings her one-of-a-kind therapy techniques to the room, leaving her audiences both transfixed and transformed. Her acclaimed I'm Enough program focuses on the thought patterns and mental habits that can be detrimental or beneficial to our success, depending on how we use them. She was named as Britain's best therapist and also won a Stevie Award, Woman of the Year, Entrepreneur of the Year, and a Lifetime Achievement Award. Please help me welcome the creator and founder of Rapid Transformational Therapy, the I Am Enough program, a movement, and author of the book by the same name, I Am Enough. Mark your mirror and change your life. Ladies and gentlemen, Marisa Peer. And the crowd goes wild, young lady.
That's quite an introduction. That's amazing.
It's good to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Well, right now you're in LA. Of course, everybody can hear that you're actually, like myself, and originally a Brit. So, you know, one of the things I love to ask my guests right at the beginning is, please tell us somebody who's had impact and influence, significant major influence on your life. May even be somebody we don't know. Who's somebody who's had really tons of positive impact on your life?
I would say my dad. My dad was an extraordinary teacher, very, very different. And he always believed that you should make people feel good about themselves. Everyone had a little thing on their head saying, notice me, make me feel interesting. And he was an extraordinary principal, what we call a head teacher, because he never rewarded achievement, only effort. And he taught me a lot, really. I think it was him that drove me into being a therapist, because he had a passion for helping people, and I have the same thing.
That's very cool. So was he the headmaster of the school you went to, or was he?
He was, and that was weird, actually. That
Can you imagine that was weird?
That fed into my not enoughness. That was a good thing and not a great thing. I saw what a wonderful person he was, and I saw how he worked tirelessly to champion every kid. But it also wasn't great for me because I felt so different being the headmaster's daughter. And as a therapist, I see that, you know, I believe that everyone only has 3 things wrong with them. Doesn't matter what their problem is, you can condense it down to one of 3 things. And one of those 3 things is being different, because when you're different, it's hard to connect. And our DNA insists that we connect. You know, not that long ago, we survived by being connected. You only have to watch Game of Thrones to see that safety. And you had to connect to make it. So when you feel different, you can't connect. And it's a huge burden that I see clients with on a regular basis.
So you felt very different as a kid?
Yeah, very different. Even before going to my dad's school just made it worse. But yeah, I really felt different my entire life. Now I love it, but as a kid, I didn't like it at all.
What was it that, I mean, obviously outside of being your dad being the principal, your dad being the headmaster, what was it about you that felt so different?
Oh, so many things. I was really tall. I had skinny legs, long skinny. Of course, I love now having long, skinny legs. But at the time, I just felt like this gawky, hideous freak. And then Nicole Kidman said the same thing. Not that I'm putting myself in her class, but she also said, you know, when she was growing up, she had white alabaster skin and red frizzy hair, and she was super tall, and she lived in Australia with all these curvy, bronze, blonde girls, and she just felt so different. So it was what I looked like predominantly. Also, Marisa, at the time when I was growing up, everyone was called Jane and Karen and Sue and Anne, and they'd go, what's your real name? And I'm like, no, that is my real name.
What's your real name?
Nowadays, it's so normal. My little girl, who's called Phaedra, said to me, Mummy, why have you given me such a different name? I just want to be called something normal like Dolphin or Star. I'm like, well, you can call yourself Dolphin or Star if you'd like to. But I had an unusual name, unusual life. And like many, many girls who are tall and skinny or short and dumpy, I hadn't actually grown into myself. That took a while.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that so many of us spend so much of our time trying to fit in. As you said, biologically, it's wired into our DNA for us to be tribal and for us to be part of a community and connect with others. And the great balance is this distinction. Like you, I was a therapist too, and it's this distinction between how do I be part of the tribe while still without giving up who I am, and how do I connect without giving away my own identity. And the problem is that we then trade our authentic identity for the identity of the tribe, and that's sad because we lose so much in that.
Yeah, and of course I go to Zimbabwe and Africa quite a lot, and you see in primitive tribes that people, they connect because they all look the same. They look the same, they eat the same, they do the same, they know everyone in the village, and of course we don't do that. So it's very hard in our multicultural society to even believe that we're the same as everyone and everyone is the same as us. But of course we are and they are.
Absolutely. So your book is I Am Enough. It's the book title. And you say that these are the 3 words that will change your life. Tell us why that is.
Okay, I mean, I've been a therapist for 33 years, which seems extraordinary, and I love being a therapist. And I'm very lucky that I've had some phenomenal clients, CEOs and movie stars and Olympic athletes. But I realized very quickly in my career, whether my client was a baker or a school teacher or an international rock star, they all had the same problem. They never felt enough. And then I began to work with a huge amount of drug addicts. And I realized they all had the same problem. I'm not enough and I need more. And so I began to work with drug addicts, alcoholics, shopping addicts, shoplifting addicts, people who are addicted to praise or food or sugar or work or success. And I realized that I was treating a symptom and what lay beneath, and I've always looked for what is really going on underneath, is this feeling I'm not enough, and if I'm not enough, I need more. And I would see so many movie stars and directors come in my door and I go, oh my God, I love that film you made. They went, it was terrible. Didn't you notice? I'm like, no, I thought it was great. Oh no. And one of them, I said, but it got an Oscar. He went, yeah, I know, but I don't think there were many good nominations that year. I said, but your next film got an Oscar. He said, yeah, there wasn't any good nominations that year either. I'm like, oh, you can't let him praise, can you? And he said, no. And I said, why not? He said, because I'm waiting for everyone to find out I'm a big fake. All the awards, all the accolades, I'm just waiting for the world to find out I'm not enough. And then I realized something, because, all my clients, bless them, have taught me everything. I had eminent teachers. I studied a lot, but the people that taught me what runs human behavior were my own patients. And I realized that they all had this not enoughness. And what was even more interesting was people think that successful people or famous people are damaged by fame. And I saw quite the opposite. Damaged people are driven to be famous and driven to be successful. Then they can go, finally, I'm enough. Look at the awards. Look at this house, this office, I've got all this stuff. But I would see people like Robin Williams and Philip Seymour Hoffman, who had everything except the thing they really needed. I'm enough. Without the awards, without the Oscars, without people going, hey, I love you, you're great. And in fact, just last week, I had a movie star come to see me for a session. And he said, oh, I want to move here because I live on the canals in Venice. It's amazing. And I said, well, let me show you a couple of houses that are for sale. And we walked up the canals. People kept coming going, hey, man, I love you. Hey, man, you're amazing, because he's a megastar. And he said, I feel such a fake. I feel such a fake. They all think I'm amazing, but they have no idea that I can't keep a relationship and I use a lot to feel better. And they all have this feeling of not enough. And when you don't feel enough, you need more. That may be more alcohol, more Krispy Kreme donuts. It may be more sexual partners. It could be filling your house with stuff. And it's just, recently I was bringing up an apartment for my daughter, and I went on to eBay, and I found someone selling this entire kitchen of like amazing black appliances. And I contacted, yeah, I had a black kitchen, but now I want a red one. So I'm getting rid of all of that. It's 3 months old. It costs thousands of dollars. And I find that all the time. I'll go, yeah, I'm changing everything. I wanted a cream savers, now I want green. And next I'm going to have blue. And it's like, you can't change what's out there. You've got to change what's in here. You're enough. When you know you're enough, you don't need more. And when you think you're not enough, there isn't enough stuff in the world. I mean, the amount of hoarders and bingers I work with who change like that, when you get them to go, you're enough, you are enough. If you're enough, you don't need 50 pairs of shoes. If one Jo Malone candle made you feel enough, why do you need 30 in all the different fragrances? I just need more.
So let's just stop there for a moment, because, it's easy for us to see that in the world, to see the Robin Williams, the Robert Seymour Hoffman, or, any number of famous people who are very successful. At a CEO level, it tends to be a little more hidden because it's not quite as in the public eye. But you and I both know, because I work with them too, very high level individuals. The people I work with are the people who have I always say, if you have it all and you're going, what's next? That's when you need to work with me. That's what, because you know, you and I are talking the same thing. It's like, this is what it is. And it's this imposter syndrome. Somebody's going to find out that I'm a fraud, that I'm a faker, that there's something going on. However, and as you said, there's this pursuit for external validation via Krispy Kreme donuts or via a Mercedes or via buying yourself a new body part or a new fix for the body part, or whatever it might be. It doesn't work. So that is something that is oftentimes, particularly in these people, like you said, hurt people, you know, who are feel damaged, are driven. And this is a really important thing. I think it's an important point for us to get to, is that they are driven. That's why they become successful, not because they've got a different DNA. It's actually, I've always said that your blessing is your wound, and your wound is your blessing. So, you know, and it depends on which one's running the show, right? So this wound, this damage, becomes the power and the force that moves you forward, or it can become the things that pulls you into the crap. Many people use it to drive themselves forward, to get to that place of feeling that they're enough, but they're not there. They're not there. Now we have people who are sitting in the background here, listening, watching us, and saying, okay, that's me, but I am never going to put my hand up. I am never going to put my hand up and go, hey, you know, I know I've got a Rolls Royce or a Bentley or whatever it might be, but I'm not going to admit that I don't feel enough, and I'm going to keep putting on the smiles and all the rest of it. Talk to that listener, that viewer for a moment, who is silently nodding as we're speaking, but is not going to go out into the world and call Dov or call Marisa or anybody for that matter.
And yes, and I see that all the time, CEOs and owners of multinational companies who can't admit they need help. But therapists are the same. Many therapists say, how can I tell my own clients I'm falling apart? I'm a therapist. I got to pretend everything's perfect. I don't dare admit my kid is acting out or my kid's anorexic. And I've seen that a lot because of the people I work with. I was working with a major magazine chain. And the guy there said, you know, it's hard for me to admit that both my daughters have eating disorders. And I know it's because of the world they're in. You know, I was working with a car dealership, probably one of the most expensive cars in the world. And he said, you know, since I did your I'm Enough, and I'm doing it with my staff, the sales, we've gone from 7 million to 16 million in a year. We've doubled our sales and more. Because when you know you're enough, you can translate that. And I do get it that many people say, I can't possibly admit that's me. But you don't need to admit it to the world. That's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book for people who can't go to a therapist. You know, we've just been asked to go to Japan because Japanese people don't have therapy. That means you're a failure. I've worked with so many senior police officers, especially men, who say, we have counseling, I'm not going. And
right.
One recently who said, you know, I come and see you on the strict understanding that you don't take any notes. So if you do, you give me my notes back and I'm going to rip them up. I don't want anyone to know I've been to a therapist. One of the things we loved about The Sopranos was Tony went to a therapist, but he never told anyone, because that's what weak people do. That's what people who need help do. And I can't admit I need help because I'm the boss, I'm this successful person. But it's not about admitting it to others, it's about yourself. So we have an I'm Enough book and I'm Enough program that you can take, and no one ever has to know. But even beyond that, it's just about you taking a look at yourself and asking yourself some questions. Why don't I feel enough? Where did that come from? People say I was born like that. No, there's no baby in the world that says, I'm not enough. Don't look at me, my diaper's leaking. I've got these triple thighs, or I've got dribbles and milk spots. And a baby will run up to you with a runny nose, a leaking diaper, and expect you to hug it and believe it's utterly gorgeous. Because in the womb, you know you're enough, all your needs are met. And it's startling how fast that can be diminished in children. But really, you're simply reactivating and regenerating something you were born with. I am enough. You know, say to any child, what do you want for Christmas? I go, a horse, a swimming pool. They don't go, oh, I shouldn't have that, my mum can't afford it. So go back to yourself and go, where would I have ever believed I'm not enough? And it's always what people tell you. You know, I sometimes am in a store and I'll hear a parent say to their kid, oh, you can have a piece of candy, go pick some. They come back with a huge box, go, who do you think you are? We can't afford that. Put that back. So greedy. Or we see a child at Christmas. One of my clients was scarred by the fact that his brother got the gift he wanted. When he asked for that, his father was so angry that he beat him and said, you're ungrateful, you're disgusting. How can you resent what your brother has? And when you have a scared child, an angry adult, it's called an imprint. It goes in, and the child now forms a belief, I shouldn't ask for anything. I'm bad if I ask. I'm guilty. And then they keep it all in, and it's so, so sad, but very, very easy to change. So go back to the scene, have a look. Sometimes one of the easiest ways to do it is to get in bed at night and just before you sleep, say to your mind, hey mind, tell me why I don't think I'm enough. Remind me of why I don't feel enough. And up will come memories, especially when you're sleeping. And in the morning, when you've got the memories, and I love doing this because it's practical neuroplasticity. It's changing your neurons. You go back and go, that's not me. A bit like, you know, I had to say, I'm not that geeky kid who thought she was hideous. I was 11 and 16-year-old boys would come and say, your dad is, and they'd use a very profound word, which I won't say on air. And what could I do? I was 11 years old. I just stood there like an idiot and let them say, your dad's this, your dad's that. Because they were 16, 17, 18. Mm-hmm. That isn't me now. I'm not 11. I'm not intimidated by anybody.
But Marisa, you know this as well as I do. The unconscious mind has no chronology. And so as our conscious mind says, well, I am enough. Evidently I'm enough. I've got a PhD. I've got a dingleberry, whatever it might be, that is the award of the week. But the unconscious mind is the one controlling this. And you and I both know that those neurons that have fired together have very strongly wired together. And it's not enough to do the positive affirmation and say, well, I am enough. I am enough. So talk to us a little bit about getting inside that mechanism so that people can grasp, because I can already hear people saying, yeah, well, I've tried the positive thing and I've tried the positive affirmations. People are still walking around with no money in the bank who are saying, I am wealthy. I am wealthy. So
course. I don't even like that. People go, I've got to have I say I'm a rock star, I'm a rock star. My mind goes, come off it. You live in a shared apartment. You haven't even
exactly. Yeah.
I'm a goddess, I'm a goddess. He goes, no, you're not. You get your clothes out of Target.
Exactly.
It's not your mind, it's you arguing with yourself. So let me give you a couple of rules of your subconscious mind. First of all, it learns by repetition. That's a biggie. If you repeat something enough, it will remember it forever until you replace it with something else. Secondly, it likes the presence. Or if I'll be rich next year, I'll be millionaire one day. That doesn't even make any sense to your mind. But the biggie is that every word you say and every thought you think is a blueprint that your mind and body work to make real. And the other one is the mind likes really exciting words. So yes, having an affirmation, I'm super successful, I'm a rock star, and saying that it will not make you a super successful rock star.
Nope.
First, you've got to go back and have a look at, okay, why do I think I'm not enough? Well, now I've just had a memory. I'm a very successful trader. I work in the city, but I've suddenly remembered that my parents, and this is a true story, I worked with someone who was a trader, but he said, I just can't take risks. You know I could trade more. I know I could make millions of dollars, but I'm so risk averse. And he remembered that his parents had two girls, then him. They'd always say to him, why can't you be like your sisters? Look at you breaking your toys and making a mess and climbing trees and coming in covered in mud. Look at them, they're so good. They never cause problems. And they told him this over and over again.
Sure.
There was something wrong with him. And of course, no child can go, hang on, Mum, it's called testosterone. I'm a guy, I'm not a girl. Celebrate who I am. But you can't say that when you're 4. But being able to activate those memories allowed him to go, right, I see. I grew up thinking there was something wrong with me. There was something actually wrong with my parents. I don't have to think those thoughts or believe those beliefs anymore. And I'm going to go, I love being a guy. I embrace being a male. I love taking risks, because after all, the only risk in life is not to take the risk. And so he had new things to say. And he said, you know, this is just the weirdest thing. Within weeks, he said, I was making 3 times the amount of profit. Women were like just hanging on my every word, and I never had any success with women before, because I suddenly got to embrace me instead of thinking what's wrong with me, I should be better, I should be different. I thought, yay, I love being a guy. So I'm totally where you are. It's like if you mow over weeds and go, well, they keep coming back. Why are these weeds coming back? I keep cutting them off at the surface level. You have to go back to the root. You have to find the core of what's going on. And that's not difficult. I mean, for some people it is. They go to therapy. There are programs and books, including my own, which were designed to take you back really easily and show you, where did this come from? You know, I worked with a super successful another movie producer who was actually so suicidal, and it was all because his dad had died and he never praised him. And when he died, he just went right over the edge and said, well, I'm never going to get the praise now. I said, who cares? Say it yourself. The mind doesn't even know. If you start to go, hey, I'm a great person, I'm a great kid, I'm an amazing son, your mind doesn't go, who's saying that? Who is that? It just goes, that's true. Because the mind lets in whatever you tell it. The problem is we tell it the wrong stuff. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to get my dad to praise me. I bought him a house. I've got all these awards. I said to him, do you want to come to my movie? He went, movies are rubbish. Why would I come? My friend said saw it and said it was terrible. And the father diminished him. And the only time he said to him, Dad, are you proud of me? He went, for what? You ponce around making movies. I work with my hand. You know, I do work. That's not even work. You've got all that money and you do nothing. It's like the MTV song, Money for Nothing and Your Chicks for Free. Do you remember that? When
Dire Straits.
Yeah, that's not work. And so a lot of people don't understand that people at the top work so hard. They go, oh, he was an overnight success. Look at him. He doesn't know he's born, landed on his feet. But people do work very hard. But, you know, you have to believe that you're worth it, and you got to go back. And one of the easiest ways to believe you're worth it is to take a minute, even though it might sound a bit silly, and think about all the words you most wanted to hear. What did you want your dad to say? What did you want your mom to say? Maybe it was a teacher. Maybe it was a grandparent. You know, I worked with a senior executive who, his mother had him with a boyfriend, and he was dark-skinned. And then he left, and then she married a white guy and had 2 kids. And the grandma would always say, oh, I don't like you. You got the wrong color skin. I mean, how could you say that to your own grandchild? And he grew up feeling deeply, deeply inadequate. And then I was saying, but why don't you love that color? It's amazing to have golden skin. He went, yeah, people tell me that I'm gorgeous, but I just can't let it in. And then he began to let it in. So think of what you most want to hear from your mom, your dad, your teacher, and start to say it. I am a good kid, even if you're 58 years old. I'm worthy of love. I deserve this. And the mind will let it in, because not only does it not care what you tell it, whether it's good or bad, right or wrong, even true or false, it doesn't really register who's saying it. It lets it in. And, you know, if you only knew that the most important words you could ever hear are the words you say, and indeed the most important praise is your own praise. You know, we can all say, oh, you're so great, you're amazing, I love you, can you lend me some money? Because praise manipulates people. But when you do it yourself, there's no agenda, and your mind goes, well, this must be true, because you say it every day. Just like if you say, I'm a loser, your mind goes, this must be true, because you say it every day. We make our beliefs, and then our beliefs make us. But then even more weirdly, the universe starts to completely mirror whatever you believe. You believe that dogs are vicious and attack you, you'll find them.
Absolutely.
Dog will pick up your energy. You believe that dogs are wonderful and amazing. They love you because they pick up your energy. But people pick up your energy. And if you have the energy, if I'm not really enough and I got to keep faking it till I make it, and I'm hiding it inside, like I think it was John Lennon who said, the thing you can't hide is when you're crippled inside. Might have been
Yep.
right. But he knew,
Yeah.
that person who wrote that knew that other people sense it. So
Yes, of course. People feel the resonance of who you are.
so
You
praise. There's nothing that will build your esteem like praise. Say what you most wanted to hear, no matter how childish and silly it sounds, it really works.
Yeah, I think it particularly works if you say it. My experience is that it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to say it with emotion.
Yeah.
So if you say it with a ton of feeling, you don't have to believe the feeling, because people say, well, act it, act it until it becomes real. It doesn't really work. But what works is if you add the emotional content, because that's what we actually want. We want the emotional content. We're emotionally driven. That's what most people don't actually understand. And I love that that's where you get people to go to, is the exciting words.
Yeah.
You talk about being a natural leader. Talk to us a little bit about, because of course this is a leadership show. There are a lot of leaders who are listening or watching. What do you mean by a natural leader, and what do you mean about how to become one?
Well, there are a lot of leaders who have natural skills. I've worked with some amazing leaders of Marines. I remember working with one, and he was saying, and all his boys loved him. They would take a bullet for him, but they also trusted him. And he was saying to me, when I take these Marines on tour, their mothers have to know they're safe with me. And he's an extraordinary guy, such a leader. I've met someone like Jamie Oliver. He is indeed a natural leader. Even Angelina Jolie, in her own way, I have to admire her, because she never wanted to act. She wanted to be a humanitarian, and she acted to become a humanitarian. I met Jessica Alba last week. The same thing. She's got this great business getting chemicals out of children's products. And so some people are naturally driven, but natural leaders, they are born with this ability to lead. My father was one. They want to lead, but they want to lead in a good way. And they have some interesting characters, and I've been lucky enough to study them. And what I realize about natural leaders, that I'm going to tell you some of the things. One of them is they tell you how good they are. I'm the best doctor in Chicago. I'm the best. If you went to Gordon Ramsay and said, Gordon, are you any good? He went, good? I'm the best chef in the freaking world. They don't brag. They just tell you, I am the very best. I happen to be gifted at this. This is my skill set. This is my area of excellence. Go to a surgeon. I took someone I knew to see a surgeon when he had cancer. And he said, well, I'm the best. Do you work with anyone better than me? And he went, okay, I'll go to you then. And we didn't go, gosh, how arrogant, how big-headed. We went, yay, what a joy. We found the best. So they tell you how good they are. But the second thing, which is even more important, is they only ever want to be good at one thing. They have no interest in being good at everything. They go, listen, I am a brilliant writer, but I pay someone else to do everything else. That's my skill. So they only have to be good at one thing. Being jack of all trades and master of none is exhausting. And they don't have any need to take other people's credit, to take other people's work. They're very good at giving praise in a particular way. I saw Jamie Oliver do that once. He said to someone, oh, you did a great job today. And the guy said, well, anyone could have done it. He went, no, you did it. What you did was X, and then you did Y, and then you did Z. You did it just like that. And they're very clever at nurturing people. And natural leaders actually recognize other leaders and bring that out of them. So a natural leader in a company would be able to recognize someone else that had those skills, even if that someone else didn't. And I saw my father do that. He indeed was a natural leader. He would bring people out of themselves, hone in on their gifts, and understand that what all people want in life, especially in a career, is to feel important. There are many people, I think 80%, who've said, I stay in my job because I feel significant. I feel important. I make a difference to this company, and they let me know that I make a difference. And if you can feel that you make a difference, you'll stay in that company. And if you're managing staff, it's very important to have them know that they make a difference, that they're contributing something really worthwhile. I mean, we're so lucky we have amazing staff, but they feel they're contributing to something incredible.
That's the thing. When you talk about enough,
Yeah.
I think that people who, in my experience, and I know that as I've grown and developed in my own life, that when I believed I wasn't enough 100 years ago, and I was running around massively insecure, I was very good at stealing the light from other people.
Yeah.
Like putting it on me. I mean, there's a certain guy who lives in a big house in Washington who's always stealing the light. He puts the light on himself when it's somebody else's light. You might be able to guess who I mean. He has a rather nice fake tan. But the people who actually value themselves and recognize themselves do give the light to other people constantly. But there's an interesting piece in there. And the interesting piece is that you brought up that I want to come back to, that I've had this conversation with many people. I actually speak about this from my platform. We live in a Judeo-Christian society that teaches us to be humble. And I always say we don't understand humble. We misunderstand humble, because humble is not about saying, oh, it wasn't that, it was okay, when in fact you were spectacular. And you brought up an example where you said the surgeon says I'm the best you can get. I know that if I'm going for surgery, I don't want a humble surgeon. I want a surgeon who's going to go, listen, we got to do a heart operation on you, and I'm the best. And I'm going to go, great. If the surgeon goes, I'm pretty good. There's a guy down the road. He's very good too. But no. I want you to say, I'm the freaking best. Yeah. If you're going to have your chest opened up, you better have it done by me. And this is what, so it's almost like we can allow somebody else that in our context, as in you're going to operate on me. We can't allow it if it's got nothing to do with me, and we can't allow it if it's got anything personal about it. So it's like, when somebody said I'm explaining this, I said, if somebody says to me, Dov, are you a good speaker? And I say to them, I'm fucking awesome. I am fucking awesome. And they say, well, that's not very humble. And I go, actually, it's incredibly humble, because I understand I have to get out of the way. I have to let it flow through me. If I'm trying to do it and fix it and make it right, it is not right. But actually knowing that that's the truth of who I am, that's the most difficult thing in the world, is actually to just get out of the way and own I'm amazing at anything. And I think that then you say, thank you to the light guy, and thank you to the sound guy, and thank you to the person who designed this, and thank you because you can give that away then.
Yeah, of course. And very much the same thing. I was giving a talk on stage, I think, to somewhere like Ernst & Young, senior executives. And one of them said, what is the best book I can buy in confidence? I went, that would be mine. And he went, oh. And I could see him looking at me like, I'm not going to tell you to buy anyone else's book, because they're not as good as my book, in my opinion. It took me a long time to write that book. It's the best book on confidence you can get. And by the way, it will really change your life. If I don't believe in me, how can I expect you to? If I'm saying, oh, someone else's book is way better than mine, if you don't believe in yourself, who will? And say,
exactly.
No, you have to go, this is the best product ever. I love watching Dragon's Den and Shark Tales, and we've all seen in England the guy who invented the little suitcase called Trunky laughed out of Dragon's Den. He went back and created it. It's everywhere, because the natural leaders also, they don't take rejection personally. They get rejected, they come back. Someone else invented this thing called Tangle Teaser. It's like a hairbrush that's flexy. Made millions, but they laughed at it and said it's rubbish. So that's the other thing, naturally, just to believe me, they get rejected, but they bounce back. They don't let it in. They certainly don't take it personally, and they come back and they continue to go, look, this is the best product. There's a great story about Celine Dion, who'd sent her an audio cassette at the time, I think to, let's say Sony, could be EMI. She contacted them and said, did you like it? They said, no. She said, you haven't listened to it. They said, no. She said, I know you didn't listen. If you heard my voice, you would sign me. Let me send you another audio cassette of my voice. because I know you didn't listen. And so they were so intrigued by that confidence in her voice that they actually got it out. And my publisher used to be Penguin, it's now Hachette, were telling me a story that someone had sent a manuscript and they just put unsolicited manuscripts in the bin. And he rang up every week and said, have you read it? They said, no. He said, you've got to read it. You'll love it. And in the end, after about 10 calls, they said, get the manuscript out of the bin. Let's have a laugh. I mean, this poor guy, I mean, he's so full of it. They got it out. They went, oh, my God, sign him immediately. But he had that persistence. And that's another thing natural leaders have. They persist. They come back. They get failure, but they have a vision. I mean, you know, I'm a writer, and I know that thud when a returned manuscript hits the mat. J.K. Rowling, you know, she got Harry Potter returned 12 times. We shared exactly the same agent, Christopher Little. And I had some of my books returned, and you have to pick it up, put it in, and send it right back again. And it's hard. It's sick. You feel that thud and your stomach sinks. But you have a choice. Put it in a drawer and stop the pain, or just send it back and send it back. And eventually my book that was returned got sold, and I got £130,000 for the book.
Right.
Went back and said, we don't like it.
Of course.
Keep going. You can't take rejection personally. No one's sitting at home going, oh, I'm rejecting you. I don't like. People say, oh, you know, this client didn't call, or client didn't come back. They didn't send me feedback. They're not rejecting you. They're just busy.
Sure. And not everybody's life revolves around you. Yeah. You know, there's a saying that success leaves clues. However, most of us wouldn't recognize a clue if it fell on our heads. You teach corporations and startups that once you recognize and adapt the 5 habits, the 5 habits that you have into life, that you can't fail but have success. Talk to us a little bit about that, if you would, please.
I mean, they're very easy. Again, natural leaders and people who are successful seem to be born with these habits. And it really doesn't matter if you're not, because if you acquire them and adopt them, they just become your own. And the biggest thing I see with people who are successful, there's 5 things. One is the rejection. They do not take rejection. I met Luther Vandross, and everyone said to him, you're an overnight success. He said, you know that overnight? It's 12 freaking years long. I sang Kentucky Fried Chicken jingles. I said, but Luther, that's a great job. You're singing, you got a great voice, you get well paid. But he kept going. He was a backing singer, but he didn't take rejection. So the big thing is, you must not take rejection personally. Don't even let it in. Come back, bounce back, go back. We see many people voted off shows again, Shark Tank, X Factor, who come back and win. But X Factor, no, not X, what's something the band, it will come to you in a minute. One Direction, they came 3rd. They didn't go home and go, oh my God, didn't win. They became the best-selling band. I bought them bigger than the Beatles.
Yep.
Sold more records than the Stones, because they came back and said, we're not taking rejection. And there were so many people. Eminem laughed off the stage as a rapper.
Absolutely.
He didn't go home and go, I can't do it. He said, I'll show you. And if you can come back without, I will not let rejection, and no one can reject you unless you give them your consent. And you have the choice to say, no, I'm not giving you consent to reject me. The second thing, and this is truly important, is that people who make it do what they hate or actively dislike to get to where they want to be. And people who fail will give up their dream before they do it. They don't, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And the problem is with millenniums is they've been brought up by parents to go, you don't have to do what you don't want to do. And they don't understand that to make it, you must do what you do not want to do. You don't want to do it, so do it. I mean, I still have to say that to my staff. Let's get out all the things we don't want to do and do them first. So that is a 2-step thing of success. People, they do what they don't want and they do it first. They make the difficult calls first. They fire someone first, and then it's done. But if you're not prepared to do what you don't want to do, you'll never get to where you want to be. And I talked to a very eminent surgeon recently who said, well, I didn't do that. And I said, really? He went, oh, well, I did, didn't I? Because I went through medicals. I said, yeah, but you also took an internship away from your family for 6 months. He went, yeah. that was so hard, but I had to do that. But the weird thing is that when you do what you don't want to do to get to where you want to be, you actually forget that you ever didn't want to do it until you start to like it. Like, so for instance, one of my clients was saying, I have to do yoga, and if I'm at work at 7, I'll do it at 5 or 4 a.m. But if I don't do it first, I don't do it. And so, but the thing is, when you do what you don't like, you actually start to like it. And, you know,
Yes.
I have an amazing career. I work for myself. I've never had a boss in my entire life. I travel around the world. And people come up every day and say, oh my God, you changed my life. People write to me and say, you saved my life. I was going to kill myself. And then I heard you talk and something changed. And I hear that a lot too. But I still do what I don't want to do. Get up early, get on a plane, do interviews, not with you, by the way, but with some people I don't want to do. You know,
Nice comeback there.
you and I know what I mean. So when I wrote a book,
I do.
Actually, that was an interesting thing. When you write a book, you got to say every day, I love writing this book. This book is awesome. And you won't believe it, but if you don't say that, what are you going to go, oh, this is so hard, it's so lonely writing on your own, it's not very good. You got to lie to your brain. Lie, cheat, and steal. I love lying, cheating, and stealing. As a writer, I lie to myself when I'm writing. This is phenomenal. This is amazing. This is a bestseller. And I cheat fear, and I steal back that innate confidence I was born with when I believed I could do anything. And we can all do that. Lie to your mind. So very successful people lie to themselves. As they go to the gym, they don't go, oh my God, these crunches. So they go, I love it. I love 10x working out. I love the pain in my butt when I'm doing lunges. I love running until I feel my heart coming out of my chest. They lie. They do what they hate. And then the weird thing starts to happen. You start to love running.
Exactly.
You do bench presses, and it's really hard. And then you think, Christ, suddenly I like it. You know, if you have lenses and you've got to shove your finger in your eye, how weird is that? I found it weird to get to grips with that. But then I kept saying, I love it, I love it. And then eventually I could stick those lenses in my eye without even having a mirror. I'll do the lenses tomorrow. It's uncomfortable. My eyes water.
I love that philosophy of lie, cheat, and steal. That's a great way to work with the mind.
Yeah.
Sorry?
You've got to understand your mind. And that's, you know, I'll come back to the habits of success. But one of the best things you can do for yourself is to imagine your mind as your PA and give it instructions. We're all taught, you know, if you can communicate with your staff or your customers, you have a great career. If you can communicate with your partner, you'll have a great life. How about communicating with your brain, telling it what you want? Because we spend so long going, oh, I don't want that. Oh, I don't want to go to that meeting and forget. I do not want to get on stage, open my mouth and go, now I don't know what I'm saying. I don't want that. But you got to say to your mind, hey mind, I want to get on stage, open my mouth and be phenomenal. Just be word perfect, connect to my audience, show them who I am and what I have to say. Or, hey, I need to get into bed at 11 o'clock. I want sleep to come to me, wake up at 7, completely refreshed. Now the mind knows what you want. But if you go, I don't want to stay awake, I don't want to stress, I don't want to go over and over and over that meeting I've got to chair and that person I'm dreading seeing. Because now what you focus on, you get more of.
Of course.
Whatever you focus on, you move towards. So the best skill you can ever have is collaborate with yourself.
Self-collaboration. I love it. That's fantastic. You know, we are coming towards the end of the show. And we're going to go into some quick fire questions, but before I do, I want to ask you this. What's the most common misunderstanding about what it is that you do?
Oh, that's a great question. That the mind is so complex and so complicated and takes a lifetime to master and a lifetime to understand. And you know, you need to know 3 things about your mind, and you can have whatever you want. The first is it does what it believes you want. When you go, this freeway is killing me, it says, I'll give you an illness and I don't have to go on the freeway anymore. This client is driving me insane. Well, why don't I give you an ulcer? Then you never have to see the clients who drive you insane. Your
Mm-hmm.
mind is very simple and clear. It does what it believes you want. And if you haven't got what you want, it thinks you don't want it. If you've got a lot of what you don't want, like procrastination, it believes you do want it. So tell your mind what you want. Use relevant, specific, detailed words. Second thing about the mind, which is so easy, is it only responds to two things: the pictures you make in your head and the words you say. When you go, I'm dying under the paperwork, this stress is killing me, your mind responds to those pictures. When you go, look, there's a lot of work here, but I've got phenomenal coping skills, I can power through that, I've got all weekend to rest, bring it on, I love difficult clients, they're the ones that make me grow. You respond to the words and pictures. And the third thing about the mind, and it's one that therapists find so vexing, is that we are hardwired to love what's familiar and to dislike what is unfamiliar. Some people love being on stage. Some people love running a company. Some people love being a leader, and others go, oh no, that's unfamiliar. Your mind loves what's familiar. You can make anything you like familiar. Make self-praise and self-belief familiar, and then you naturally make criticism of yourself unfamiliar. So all you need to know about the mind: does what it believes you want, what is in your very best interest, and it bases it on what you told it when you were 5. It only responds to the words and pictures you put in your head, and it loves what is familiar and would like to run away from what is unfamiliar. But you can make anything you like familiar. Take sugar out of your coffee, it feels horrible. But 3 months later, you'll think, did I really drink that sweet, disgusting cream? I don't even like it anymore.
Right.
So make self-belief and praise familiar, and you'll find that what you want wants you. And once you move your mind to a new dimension, it never goes back, because our potential expands as we go towards it. But it doesn't go backwards, it keeps going forward. You have no idea what your potential is. And that's a great thing.
It is indeed. So, Marisa, as we move into the final part of the show and we go into our quick fire round, what makes you cry?
Oh, letters from people. I cried the other day when I got that letter from that girl saying, you know, I've fantasized about suicide for 20 years. I heard you speak on TED Talks, and that day it stopped, and I was going to kill myself. It was like, can I find anything that will stop me? And it was you, and that makes me cry.
Beautiful.
Getting letters from people, working with little children who feel not good enough. I go, I feel great now. No one's me. I love that.
Yeah, me too. What makes you cry laughing?
My husband, he's very, very funny. He makes me laugh every day. You know, I always think if you marry someone funny, it's such a bonus, because even when we argue, he can make me laugh, and he's funny, and he, no matter what's going on in our life, I'm so blessed to have him, because he's super funny.
Yeah, I remember when I was waiting to get my, like, looking for the right partner, and I made my list and went through my list, and I said the person has a great sense of humor, and then I realized, no, the person doesn't just find me funny. I need somebody who is funny, and my wife makes me laugh better than anybody else. So I definitely get that. And I think I can see John hovering in the background, so I can see his shadow. So say hello to him from me. But let's keep going for a minute. So if you were asked to write a single question, and it's the final test on somebody's life, so everybody has to write this answer to this question. It's the final question on the life test. What is that question?
Why don't you think you're enough?
Huh.
Why have you let people let you believe you're not enough when it's not even true?
What is the one that's a great question. What is the one thing that you are, you know, we're all, as leaders, as therapists, as whatever it is that we do in our lives, if we're conscious leaders, we're evolving. What is the one thing you're still working on, that you're still trying to upgrade into?
We're putting an anti-bullying program into schools all across the world. You know, I know that if children could wake up going, I matter, I'm enough, I'm significant, bullying would diminish so much.
Yes.
And adult bullying and trolling too. So we're working on that. We've had a ton of schools go, wow, this is extraordinary. But we want that everywhere. And it's completely free programs. If anyone here wants that, we give that away. It's our passion to help people not be bullied.
Fabulous. That's wonderful. Thank you. What is a guilty pleasure from Marisa Peer?
Oh, I have so many guilty pleasures, but I don't feel
Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones, Ray Donovan. I love that. Actually, that is my guilty pleasure, to come home, get into bed, and watch a great Netflix. So I just watched the whole of Fleabag in one evening. It's amazing. But also just getting up and making tea, and I take my time. I don't like to rush out of the house at like 6 a.m. So I'm very good. I don't put meetings in at 7 a.m. across LA. I don't have to go to meetings at 6 o'clock. We schedule everything so our life is easy. Eating nice food, being with people, taking time. I have something called me time. I might take the whole day and I do absolutely nothing. A bit of yoga, have some nice lunch, maybe go to a movie. But I never feel guilty because I'm like a battery and I have to recharge myself. And
of course.
It's a bit like this cup. I give from this cup to people every day, but I've got to fill the cup back up again. And if you don't have anyone filling your cup, how can you give? So I understand that you must give and receive. It's balance. It's like breathe in, breathe out. That's giving and receiving. You can't do one. You've got to do both.
Fabulous. What did you learn today or within the last 48 hours or so?
Oh, I learn every day that I love what I do. I know that gratitude is the highest energy to resonate at. So I'm always grateful. I was driving to San Diego to go actually going to LA to go on the Today Show, and the plane got delayed, and I was thinking, okay, even though I'm going to get 5 hours sleep, I'm so grateful. Here I am going to be on this show. So it's very important to stop and always learn to be grateful. And every time I meet someone like you who wants to talk to someone like me, it's like, wow, that's amazing. He wants to listen to me. I'm always grateful for that.
Wonderful. In a parallel universe, what's your career?
I always thought I'd like to be a detective, funnily enough. I thought, yeah, I'd love to be a detective, but I am a detective. People
Of course you are.
come to me and I'm like a detective, then a dentist. I work out what's wrong with detective-like skills, and then I extract the toxicity with dentist-like skills. So in another world, I would have been a detective. But
maybe you'd have been a dentist who was an undercover PI.
Yeah, I like someone like Columbo and all those great people, Inspector Morse. I love detective shows, but I have the best job in the world. I'll never retire. I'll never do anything else. It's so changing people's lives is everything.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree fully. So as we finish up, I want to ask you to give our viewers, our listeners, one piece of practical advice, something that they can go away and do right away, put into action, because information's worth the hole in the donut without the application. So what would be that application?
So I get it that corporate men are not going to write "I'm enough" in lipstick on their mirror. I totally
really.
You can use guyliner. Guyliner exists. You can buy that, and mascara exists too. But I'm sure nobody wants that. Put it on your phone alert so it pings in the morning and in the evening, or hide it somewhere in your passwords. If you have to type out every day "I am enough" into your passwords, obviously with some security squiggles and dots and things, the fact that you write it, read it, type it, speak it, say it, you cannot stop yourself letting that in, and it will change your entire life.
I love it. It's so simple. That's why it's so powerful.
It's always the strength, is the simplicity.
Marisa, this has been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. I hope you'll stay with us to the end. Before we go, please tell our viewers and our listeners where they can find out more about you and all your wonderful resources.
Well, we have an I'm Enough movement, and we own imenough.com. So certainly go there. We give away a lot of free stuff. imenough.com. Should you wish to become a therapist, you may have a partner or a kid that you think, oh, I'd love them to have that job. Go to rapidtransformationaltherapy.com and find out how you can even train online or live and do what I do. Or go to marisapeer.com for more free stuff. imenough.com, marisapeer.com. rapidtransformationtherapy.com. You'll find all the programs, all the tools, all the skills to change your life easily and fast, which is what we all want.
Of course. And we will, of course, make sure that all those links are placed on the show notes, so you'll be able to get them there. Again, Marisa Peer, it's been a pleasure and honor. Thank you so much for being with us. I hope you'll stay with us to the end as we sign off. It's been a total joy. To you, if you want to hang out with other conscious leaders and chat about this episode you've been listening to or any past episodes, go find us on Facebook for the Dov Baron Leadership and Loyalty Podcast. Find out how you can hire me, Dov Baron, as your speaker, strategist for you or your organization. Simply go to fullmontyleadership.com/consulting or fullmontyleadership.com/speaking. And please be aware that the research consistently shows that the fastest growing companies face the same challenges in that they're spending a ton of money and energy and time attracting, training, and developing top talent, only to have them leave at an alarming rate. If you're frustrated with investing in training and developing your talent, only to have them leave before you get your ROI, then come talk to us at fullmontyleadership.com, where we provide you the essential leadership skills to rekindle and amplify the hidden loyalty assets inside of your organization by tapping into purpose. fullmontyleadership.com, because you can't outsource authenticity. You can also stop by the Matrix, matrix.fullmontyleadership.com. You don't need www, just Matrix like the movie, .fullmontyleadership.com, and get your authentic leadership matrix self-assessment tool. It's valued at $197. It's absolutely free to you. Thank you for sharing the show with everybody you know. Till next time, stay curious, my friends. Stay curious about how, indeed, you are definitely enough. My name is Dov Baron. I'm here to assist you tapping into your deep greatness to reach that next level of clarity, focus, purpose, and profit in your business, your life, and your leadership impact. And I am out.